What is up, bros, bears, most mommies, and everything in between? As always, this is Patrick, full primal power, your mom's favorite power lifter. Welcome back to another episode of Winning the War Against Gravity. Today is a squat day. Now, yesterday, if you watched the last video, was deadlift day, and that did not go well. It did not go well whatsoever. So I got a question for you guys. What do you guys do when what usually makes your training days go bad? So this past week was a little rough. I usually squat on Thursdays, and today is Sunday. So just know that life pushed things back this far. And on Tuesday, I didn't get to bed until 6 a.m. Not anything that I would have been able to avoid. So life stress at an all-time high, sleep at an all-time high, like nodding off while driving home from work, having to put on super singable songs and belting those songs at the top of my lungs to make sure that I don't fall asleep while driving, because that is not safe. So yesterday did not go well. 2 weeks ago, I hit 700-pound deadlift for 3. Yesterday, I couldn't get 716 for 1. And then I went into a depressive episode. But you know what they say? They say that champions have a short memory. Yeah, you mess up, things don't go your way. Champions don't dwell on that, and they do one of two things. They either erase it from their memory and move ahead, or they take a look at why things are going wrong and they adjust so that you can always be making progress. You don't want to throw out a bunch of progress because you had one bad day. So yesterday was a bad day, and today is a squat day. What am I going to do to make sure that I'm still making progress on squats? Because I know for a fact I cannot display my, or what was the phrase? It's not display of power, but basically express my strength in the manner that I need to in order to do what I had planned for today. Yes, I am self-coached. What I was going to do today was mid 700 squats for somewhere between 3 and 5 reps. That's not going to happen today just because of all the life stress. So last week was a deload, and then life stressed me out, and I kind of need like a life deload. So the deload doesn't exactly continue. We do kind of like a programming pivot and make sure that make sure we're still making progress. And what's the best progress that we can make right now is to clean everything up. You don't exactly have the opportunity to clean things up when you're lifting heavier. It's a good idea to keep things clean while heavy, but things will have a little bit of a technical breakdown when you are going heavy. So today we are doing lighter volume squats, but not just regular squats. We're doing box squats. The gym has one box, and it will be very far below parallel. So we will be going to that box because my squats as of late have been at depth. And when you compete, your squats go a little higher because of nerves, because of this, that, whatever. You don't want to be putting yourself into a situation where you're now getting red lights because your depth isn't there. So squat extra deep in training. I have been squatting to depth in training, and I know that I need a little bit extra oomph when it comes to my depth, especially because of my lack of ankle mobility. So we're going to be working both the ankle mobility, hip mobility, and my autism wants me to say a third thing, but I don't have a third thing. Knee mobility? No, that's not. Quad flexibility, elasticity, I don't know. But that's what we're going to be doing today. We're pretty much going to, in my head, I was like, oh, I'll just do 405 for like 3 sets of 12. I would rather masturbate with sandpaper than do that. But I guess that's kind of what I got to do. But we'll assess what kind of volume we need to do. We might just do the bar for 10 all the way down to the super low depth, because the goal of today isn't volume, it isn't tonnage, it is the flexibility and building up the ability to get deeper on squats. That's the main goal of today. So it's not the weight on the bar that matters. It's the actual range of motion that matters today, and getting comfortable with going deeper. So we might just do the bar. I might do a blue for 10. And the rep range, I don't really know about. I mean, that should be fine. The hip flexors is going to be the limiting factor here, because that's the main muscle group that we're going to be targeting on increasing the elasticity of the quads and the hip flexors. I am really sore from yesterday because my body was tense all day. Even my jaw got a pump. Yeah, so, and then we might just do 45-pound jumps all the way up to 405. Honestly, that's probably what we're gonna end up doing. And maybe, so, it's kind of hard to think these things through because, bias and everything. Do I want to work up to 405 and then do like 1 or 2 sets at 405? Maybe 3 sets. I don't know. But I'm on my way to the gym. I made some coffee. I made some coffee, and I stole Sophie's thermos that she got for Christmas. Because she's a Starbucks girly and I'm a Dunky girly pop. So she doesn't really like the Dunkin' cup. So obviously, me being part of the New England cult of Dunkin', I stole that Dunkin' cup. And so I bought a French press a couple months ago because I was doing K-cups, and K-cups are expensive. K-cups are less expensive than going to Dunkin' or Starbucks every day. French press was $20. What was it, 4 or 5 pound bag of coffee was about $15. So let's do the math together. So an extra large coffee at Dunkin' is about $3.50 because I get the extra large hot caramel regular. That's about $3.50. 4 of those a week. So if you go to the Dunkin' every day of the week, you will be spending $17.50 on coffee. So that is about just under the amount of money you spent on a French press. And then you throw in the coffee. So 2 weeks of making coffee at home using the French press is going to pay for itself. Is that girl math or is that boy math? I don't know. But I started doing the French press coffee, and Shane Haller, he was like, dude, I do French press too. And we started sharing notes about French press. And if you've never done French press coffee before, it basically ruins all other coffee because it is such a smooth flavor. Like, I didn't know that coffee could be smooth, but it's smooth and it's strong and it gets the job done. And I immediately poop after my first cup of coffee every day. That means that I'm close to my 30s. I'm 28, but Sophie will convince you that I'm basically 30. But we're on our way to the gym, Oasis Barbell Club in Hyde Park, South Boston. And yeah, we got a squat day today. And it is 2:06. I would like to be home by 4-ish. I'd like to be home before 5. Because that's when I'm supposed to be meeting Sophie. Yeah, I did some dishes, I did some meal prep, and I mowed the lawn this morning already, which is why it's so late. I also slept in for the first time in 8 months, so finally getting some catch up on that sleep that I missed out on this month. Oh, good grief. There are multiple ambulances on the other side of this highway. Not cool. New England. Anyways, I will see you boys and girls and bears and muscle mummies.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Talk.
it has been exactly 0 days since we had a good training day. So, today, we wanted to get some really good range of motion work with our squats and ensure that we have the musculature and flexibility to hit depth more consistently in training. We're at about, like, between 80 and 9%. Hitting depth in training, that's not cool. You got to be at 100%, especially because you squat a little higher on meet day because of nerves or whatever. So what did we do today? So we started off today with the mandatory stretching that I have to do every single squat training day. This means stretching my ankles in every direction. So, like, imagine you're playing Mario Party with your friends from high school. Good memories. And you got that D-pad going on. So you hold down on the down and you stretch your ankle that way. Hold up on the up and you stretch your ankle that way and side to side. That's how I visualize it. I guess it's external stretching of the ankle where you're pressing the side of your big toe against the ground and trying to get a stretch through the inside of your ankle is probably the least... I feel the least stretch out of that, but it is what it is. We also stretched out our calves, doing a standing calf stretch, and we did our quads, doing a modified quad stretch, where if you are large like me, it is increasingly difficult to stretch out your quads because your quads are very big, and when your quads are big, you can't really reach your foot behind you as easily. So, I lay my quad down. I pretty much do a Japanese sit with the reverse side of my heel, the nook of my foot, I guess, is the correct term. I don't know what the correct term is. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a silly little man on the internet. I just sit with that hanging off the edge and I kind of lean back into it and trying to make sure I get a little bit of a quad stretch. I do get, like, not a pop, but, like, you know when you crack your knuckles and you get that little air release? I get that in my quads every single time that I do that. And it feels really nice. It's not painful at all. That sounded sarcastic, but it wasn't sarcastic. And I'm just digging myself into the sarcasm hole the more I try to defend myself on whether or not it is actually beneficial. So I'm going to stop talking about that. I also did a modified pigeon stretch because I hate getting onto the floor because the floor is not fun to get up and down from. It's once your age gets into the double digits, you just don't want to go on the floor anymore unless you absolutely have to. The fact that I'm able to modify a pigeon stretch and get the same stimulus out of it as I would on the floor means that I don't have to go on the floor. So yay me. Basically put your knee out in front of you and lean back with your like a 90-degree angle between your femur and tibia. Shin, I guess. My lack of being a doctor is really showing right now, and that gets a really good stretch through the hips. So we stretch the quads, calves, hips, and the ankles in every direction that we could think of. That is what I do every single day, every single time that I squat. That is it. My stretching routine is usually about 20 to 30 minutes long, and I do all of those for a 120 count. I'll say it's 2 minutes, but we all know that counting in your head is a little faster than not counting in your head. And I'm not going to verbalize what I'm doing so that other people, things, that's a bad accident. 4 cars in that accident. No wonder there was traffic here. Then we got started on the stuff. Previously, I'd always done goblet squat holds to stretch out the calves and quads. I'm going to modify that going forward because this training day really got me good in the mobility department. And I'm not flabbergasted, but what's the phrase for
that's not quite flabbergasting, but like you're surprised at your ingenuity. It's probably not even a unique thought that I had about this training day, but being able to wrap my head around things and problem solve. I got a really expensive piece of paper in the back of my car called a degree that says I'm really good at problem solving. It is a bachelor's of mathematics from the University of New Hampshire, class of 2020. My graduation walk was bringing my empty coffee cups from my computer to my kitchen. Yeah, 2020 was a year. And then I was a substitute teacher at the local high school and middle school for the next 6 months. And I got a job for 2.5 years. And then I was a substitute teacher and Uber Eats driver for another 6 months, April to November. And now I'm at my current job. Toxic workplaces are a thing, boys. You know what's bad when if you followed along during my American Pro Prep, you probably would have, I don't know if I talked about it, but I was a paraprofessional, substitute paraprofessional because they were underfunded. But I would get chairs thrown at me because I was working with the extreme special needs children, ages under 5 years old, and that nonverbal, inability to no proper motor functions, and sometimes I get chairs thrown at me and stuff. You know what's bad when a 4, 3, whatever year old child functions better in society than a 65-year-old manager. Yeah, my old workplace was very toxic. But anyway, so we started today. I did a set of 5 with no weight on my back. I just wanted to double check that I could actually hit the box, and it was actually easier to hit the box than I anticipated. The box, about 10 degrees below parallel. That is perfect for what I want to do. And it got me a good stretch, and I really felt it in my hip flexors. So those are muscles that I don't usually work. So my plan for today, I hit about 45 extra minutes of traffic because Boston sucks. I only had about an hour in the gym. So the plan of doing a 3x10 or 12 at 4:05, three sets for the top set wasn't going to work out today because I was just time constrained. Ooh, that was a good one. My coffee today is peppermint mocha, so that's some minty fresh burp right there. But so I did a set of 5 with no weight, and then immediately went into a set of a set of 10 with just the bar. And then I started doing some funky maths because I got that expensive piece of paper and I can wrap my head around abstract objects. This really isn't that abstract of a concept, but doing 20 kilo jumps to kind of simulate 45-pound jumps because I wanted to work up to 405 today. If math is easy when you use relational numbers, if you know what the difference. Big numbers, hard work with. Smaller numbers, easier work with. So use relational numbers. So whatever is on the bar, add 20 kilos. I have no idea what was on the bar. Just add 20 kilos until I did it 4 times. That was my math process. Math isn't that hard, boys. It's just schools do math wrong because they shove math into kids the same way they shove social studies or science or English. I mean, English and math are almost 2 sides of the same coin. You got to practice them, but the way they go about schooling English and math is just reading regurgitation. English is really fun if you're not in school. I did not read books until I was out of college and I had a lot of free time. And my dad was like, why don't you read this book? And I read it and I was like, why did that not suck? And then I started doing longer commutes and my brother was like, listen to the Cradle series by Will White. And little did I know that was a gateway drug, and now I'm addicted to audiobooks. Go read the Cradle series by Will White. It starts with Unsold. Or the Last Horizon series, which the pilot comes out next month. I've actually spoken with the author a couple times because social media guy, and he's actually super personable, and it makes my brother jealous because I've actually spoken to our favorite author online on Instagram. It's super cool. Anyway, so we did a set of 10 with about 135. We did a set of 10 at about 225. I don't actually know it was on the bar. I just knew it was 20 kilo jump per side. And then we hit 315. And at this point, I knew that my hip flexors were getting a bit fatigued because it was getting a little bit harder. But I could feel the body shifting into the correct motor patterns. So the whole set, I was like, let's do just 5. Let's do 6. We're close enough to 8. Let's just do 8. And once we hit 8, I was like, just 2 more. And then I convinced myself to do 10 reps with about 315. I did all of this beltless because I wasn't going to go super heavy. And I didn't want to use a belt and like really be able to lever off of that. Funny, I've got a lever belt and I could lever off of. Anyways, I really wanted to focus on depth, and I didn't want to go too heavy that I couldn't focus on building that muscle memory and elasticity throughout the muscle. So I didn't want to go too heavy. So I left off the belt and I left off the knee sleeves. And then the last set I did 405, and that was a exponential difficult. It got exponentially more difficult, but I did a set of 5. But the set of 5 felt more natural than all the other ones. And it felt a little heavier, true. And by that time, I was already fatigued by doing 40 reps. Was it 40 reps? 45 reps of getting down low. And the whole goal of today was the range of motion and not the volume, not the tonnage, not all of that jazz. It was just getting the range of motion, getting a pump in the hip flexors, and getting myself set up for a better opportunity to express my strength in the proper range of motion in a powerlifting setting. So I am really happy with that, and I'm probably going to end up switching up because I used to do goblet squat holds. I'm going to switch to the box squats in warm-ups to really work that and stretch things out and get me going in the right range of motion in my regular warm-ups moving forward, because I really liked that. It felt good, and I didn't feel like I was just jerking a wet noodle, if you get what I mean. It didn't feel like it was kind of useless and like there was something that I could be doing better. It felt like the motor pattern was more in line with the goals and performances that I was trying to line myself up with. So after that, I just did a bit of pump work, do some tempo leg extensions, 2x20 by that. And then I also I sprinkled in superset of 20x20 or 2x20x20, good girl, bad girls, hip adduction, abduction. Do not ask me which one is the abduction or which one is the adduction. I do not know. I'm just a silly man on the internet. They are good girls and bad girls to me. One works the inside of the leg, one works the outside of the leg. And they're both really important for you to work on. Doing the good girls, I did feel a little bit of a pop in my groin, but it hasn't really reared its head, so I guess it's fine. But yeah, and we were in and out of the gym in an hour and 15 minutes. So I was like, what is that music? It's just someone playing their music really loud. We got in and out of the gym in about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. So we were a little over time. I wanted to be home before 5. It's looking like we're going to be home at about 5:15. But I don't know if my GPS knew that there was going to be this much traffic. There's a lot of traffic because traffic south of Boston in the summer is always bad because people go, oh my goodness, it is Sunday. I'm not going to work all week. I'm going to drive down to the Cape. But also, I kind of want to go to the Cape because I look the way that I do. So hear me out. Sophie is convinced that we could pay all of our bills if I started an OnlyFans, which I am, with the amount of inappropriate texts that I get in my DM requests, valid. There's also this thing called Bears Week in P-Town, which is Providencetown on the Cape, in Cape Cod. Now, I'm a little bit of an entrepreneur, so I know a thing or two about advertisement. If I wear a revealing tank top or a fanny pack or shorts with an OnlyFans username plastered on the butt, you best believe we're gonna be making some loot, because the economy is not using lube. So you gotta find extra streams of income right now until the economy settles out. That's just the way it is for everyone under 56 years of age. So she's got that idea. Now I was like, you know what? I will give you my ID. You fill out all the OnlyFans information. It's actually really cool that OnlyFans requires valid ID to make sure that they don't have underage content creators. And I also learned from people who are on OnlyFans, if you feature somebody else other than yourself in those videos, they also have to provide a valid form of identification. So I was like, yeah, I'll give you my ID. You take candid shots of me. Give the bears what they want, you know? Anyways, a little bit of an off tangent. If you guys would sign up for that, let me know. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Really positive day, and it's all about stacking up different W's on different days. So I look forward to the next one. It's going to be a bench day. It's just going to be my next training day. Hopefully life settles out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Patty out.